Hey, Aura. What you doing? I half expected to find myself in that vast ocean of nothingness like before. Maybe find myself face to face with a creature that lived in my head calling herself Morningstar, like another version of me. However, that wasn't what happened. I didn't dream or anything. Or at least I don't remember dreaming anything. What did happen was, I woke up into utter chaos. Voices filled the air around me and everything hurt. She's starting to wake up, a stallion's voice said above me.
Shit. Use the sedative spell to give her unconscious again, will ya?
A familiar voice said.
I've been trying, but it's not working. She's still waking up,
the stallion said, going into a panic.
Aura? Is that you?
I said. The pain shot through my body 10 times worse than when I had first awoken. My horn felt like someone had snapped it clean off. My lower abdomen felt like some pony was slowly running a hot, rusty knife slowly up my body. I convulsed and screamed as hard as I could, trying to hold onto my head and abdomen at the same time. Some pony had strapped my hooves down, which only made things worse.
Doc! Do something, Doc! Before she makes her wounds any worse!
Aura said from one side of me.
What part have I been trying, don't you understand, Griffin?
He yelled. My vision started to flicker with different colors, each one flashing one after the other. The pain increased, making me buck my hips. The sound of flesh tearing filled the air, followed by a fresh wave of pain. I screamed louder, wishing someone would put me out of my misery.
Fuck this then,
Aura said of my blood-curdling scream. I heard the sound of medical carts being moved aside. Then she was back.
Let's hope this works.
Her avian face came into view as she was holding a shiny memory orb in her talons. She quickly pressed the orb to the tip of my horn. There was a spark, and the world around me and the pain faded away. I'm starting to get used to this feeling. The feeling of being part of someone else's body, reliving the moment in time that they lived. I was a mare again. I could feel strong wings at her side, her mane softly billowing in the light breeze. She was on a cloud looking down at a beautiful cloud city, watching other Pegasi as they trained in a field just outside the city. As she watched the ponies train, another Pegasus landed on the cloud next to her. She looked up at him. "You're early, Captain. I wasn't expecting you for another half an hour." Her voice was sweet, but a little cocky and had a hint of confidence to it. The stallion who landed in front of her was the same pony who was in the tent with Big Macintosh before he died. I hadn't seen his cutie mark the last time I saw him. I thought it was a little unusual for a pre-war pony. It was a crescent moon with a red-hilted sword crossing it. He smiled at my host.
Lightning Dust. It's good to see you after so many years. I'm early because my meeting ran short, so I figured I would come straight here.
My host blushed a little and looked back down at the ponies below. "You said you wanted to see me, Captain Nightstalker? Why the sudden need to meet after so long? I figured the personal bodyguard of Princess Luna would have better things to do with his time than meet a discharged soldier."
Don't be silly, Lightning. I have all the time in Equestria to see an old friend.
If that was true, then you wouldn't have said in your message that it was urgent and pulled me away from my students, she said with a grimace, looking over her shoulder at him. I had to admit, even I found him a little attractive. I could tell my host sure did. He ran a hoof through his long black mane.
Still can't put one past you, can I?
You're right. I didn't have to have you meet me here just to catch up on old times. Thought as much. So, tell me what you want. Make it quick, Nightstalker. I need to get back to my students.
No, you don't, Lightning. In fact, I know you haven't had students for a few months.
My host's body tensed up. How in Celestia's name do you know that?
I have my ways of finding things out. I'm here on Ministry of Awesome Business. Rainbow Dash tells me that you've been requesting a transfer from the Academy back onto the battlefield.
She huffed and turned on him. Yeah? So what? I've already been told 5 times that my request was declined. They don't want a coward joining in the fighting. He smiled at her.
You're no coward. I know that for a fact.
Oh yeah? Try telling that to the high-ranking officers. I gave them a report of what happened back then. They read it, said I was a liar, and deemed me a coward, she said, anger in every word she spoke.
And sent you here to train flyers. Yes, I know the story. I'm here because I believe your report, and I want to offer you a new job. That is, if you are interested.
A job? What kind of job?
I can't tell you here, but I can promise that you'll be a lot better than what you're doing now. I won't lie, it's a dangerous job, but if we succeed, we might be able to put an end to this war.
She smiled, opening her wings. Oh, when you put it that way, I'm in.
Just like that? No information.
I just want to prove that I'm not a coward. And I also want to help keep my home safe.
That's what I like to hear. But don't accept so quickly. I want you to know what you're getting yourself into first.
He turned and shouted.
Minute! You can come up now!
There was a flash of indigo light. Then a unicorn mare appeared next to Starstalker. The blue unicorn smiled and said in an excited voice, Are we good to go, boss? How was a unicorn able to walk on clouds?
Yes. Can you get us to Canterlot from here?
Hey, who's this? And how is she standing on a cloud? My host asked, looking down at the mare's hooves. That's what I'd like to know, too. My host beamed excitedly. My name's Minette. I'm standing on the clouds. It's an easy spell. My friend Twilight Sparkle showed me years ago. She looked back at Night Stalker. Sure thing, boss. I can get you back to the base if you want.
Just don't overdo it. I don't want you tired out from one spell.
It's easy. Here, I'll show you, she said, and in a flash of magic, the scenery around us vanished and reappeared. We were standing on a cliff overlooking a city. I've only seen it in books back in the stables. The pictures didn't really do it justice. It was beautiful. Large, regal-looking buildings and shops surrounded the large castle that demanded your attention. If I could control my host's body, I would have stared at it for hours. There wasn't anything as beautiful like this in the wasteland. My host, however, didn't look over the city for very long. Her head turned to the large golden door set into the side of a cliff that hung just over the castle, near one of the tall towers. Minute smiled, and then winked as she turned to walk towards the door. What is this place? My host asked as she followed Minute and Night Stalker.
It's home,
was all he said as they approached the door. Boss, should I go in ahead and check if the others are ready? Minute asked, beaming back at him. Wow, she smiles a lot.
They should all be here by now, apart from Greta. I told them to get ready by noon, and knowing the others, they are ready an hour before noon,
he said as he placed a hoof on the door.
By the night's glory, I request passage into the home of those children who look for the night sky to protection.
What was that? My host asked, but as soon as Night Stalker finished speaking, the door glowed and began to open. Not looking back, he walked inside, followed close behind by Minute. She looked back at my host. Hurry up! You don't want to be stuck out there, do ya? My host stepped forward and followed them. The door closed behind us. Sounded a little creepy, to be honest. If I was lightning dust, I don't think I could have followed them. The passageway just inside the door led to a large open room. It was brightly lit. A few tables were spread out, along with some training equipment and pillows to lounge on. Along the walls ran rows of books on glittering shelves. On the other side of the room was another hallway that I assumed led to living quarters or something like that. In the room waiting for them were 6 other ponies, all standing at attention. 4 were Pegasi, 1 was an Earth Pony mare, the last one was another unicorn mare. Welcome home, Captain, the Earth Pony said. She looked like a strong pony. Her coat was brown, with a pinkish-red mane that she kept short.
Thank you, Babs, and the rest of you for being here. I'd like to introduce the final member of our group, if she joins. Lightning Dust.
One of the Pegasi walked forward.
Why is she joining, Captain? She's just a coward who left her post when the Wonderbolts needed her.
My host hung her head, and I could feel tears in my eyes. Night Stalker stepped forward.
Thunderlane, shut your mouth before I make you. I trust her, and that should be good enough for you and every pony else in here. Captain, we all read the reports from back then. Give us one good reason why we should trust her on your word alone.
Thunderlane said, standing his ground.
Oh, boss, can I tell him, please?
Manute said enthusiastically.
Go ahead,
he said as my host slowly looked towards the blue unicorn. She beamed and pulled a shiny memory orb out of her saddlebags.
This is why we trust her. The original report from the pony who overlooked the Wonderbolt's assault towards the beginning of the war said that Lightning Dust abandoned her post, leaving the rest of the squad open for attack later that night. This led to the death of 6 Wonderbolts. Only 2 survived the attack. One was the pony who overlooked the battle, Cloud Whisper, and the other was Lightning Dust. That report wasn't true, and I said that from the beginning. But Cloud Whisper was my superior, and they believed her over me,
my host said angrily. Manute lifted the memory orb high in the air and spoke again.
The boss always found the official report a little fishy. He was friends with Lightning Dust back in the academy days, so he looked into it. When more and more things didn't add up, he called me in to do a memory sweep on Cloud Whisper. When I did, I got this out of her.
What does it show, Minette? Another pale Pegasus asked, stepping up next to Thunderlane. This time, Night Stalker spoke.
Cloud Whisper faked the report over jealousy of Lightning Dust. The memory was of something she saw back before the last battle with the Wonderbolts. This one thing led her to pull Lightning away from their last post that night. When the attack happened and the other 6 fell, she faked the report to get back at Lightning and to hide her own mistake. I viewed it myself and know that Lightning didn't leave her post out of cowardice, but out of respect for her commanding officer. And that is why you should trust my word, and Manute's as well. As for what happened in the memory orb, I'm sure Lightning knows that I viewed it, and I will leave it up to her to tell you all, when she's ready.
My host looked up at them with tears in her eyes.
Thank you for that, Lightning Stalker. It means a lot to me that you would go so far to prove that I wasn't cowardly that night.
He turned towards her.
I didn't do it for you, not entirely. I need you here with us. We need a brave soldier like yourself if we're ever going to win this damned war.
Thunderlane spoke again.
If the captain trusts you, then I do too. The same goes for the rest of us, I'm sure. I shouldn't have even spoken out of turn. I hope you can forgive me.
She nodded towards them as they all smiled, then looked back at Night Stalker. So why'd you bring me here? You said you could only explain what the job was in secret. After all that, and how much I owe you for clearing my name, I'm sure I can't turn down anything now. But I'd still like to know what's going on. He turned back to the rest of the ponies.
You're all dismissed for now. Stay here at base, but please let me have some privacy with Lightning Dust. Yes, sir,
they all said in unison, giving the large pony a salute before walking in different directions. He turned back towards my host once everyone was out of earshot.
Come sit with me so we can talk.
My host nodded and followed him towards one of the large pillows. Once they were settled down, she spoke. You know, I had no idea this place was here.
Most don't. I didn't even know about it until a couple of months ago, he said, looking around. The reason I brought you here is because Princess Luna has decided to bring back an old order of hers from back before she became Nightmare Moon. There's a huge history behind it, but I won't bore you right now with the details. It was disbanded when she was banished to the moon. This used to be their old headquarters. Our goal is to protect Princess Luna, but also to be a stealth operations unit to fight back against the zebras. I want you to be our last member. With your agility and quick reflexes, I think you're perfect for the job.
So, everyone here is also part of this so-called stealth unit? She asked.
Yes. Thunderlane and Cloudy Knights are my scouts. The two Pegasi mares are Comet Tail and Phoenix Heart, and they're the snipers. Our Earth Pony friend is Babseed. She's our heavy infantry. Minette and the other unicorn, Amethyst Star, handle information gathering, and they also handle everything we need that has to do with magic. Both are top students from Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns. I'd introduce you to our other new member, Greta. She apparently has other business to attend to right now, he explained.
What about you? And what would I be doing if I joined the group?
His smile grew a bit. Apart from being the captain, I'm the one that handles stealth operations and assassinations. You will be joining me on those kind of missions. That is, if you can handle it.
My host smiled. Sounds fun. Though it makes us different from the other ponies, like the special forces of the Shadow Bolts. And didn't you say the Ministry of Awesome was the one who sent you? I thought they didn't do anything.
The Ministry of Awesome is supposed to appear to do nothing, apart from small things like running the Shadow Bolts and small projects. In reality, they are in charge of Luna's spies and more. The orders came down from the Ministry Mayor herself. She passes them on to the spies. That's normally how it goes for me, too. On paper, I'll appear to be working for the MOA, but really all my orders come down from Luna herself. This place, and our real jobs, will be kept secret from the most of the government, apart from the Ministry Mayor's Twilight Sparkle and Rainbow Dash, he said, getting to his hooves.
So, if I decide to join you, then I'll be some kind of spy?
That and much more. You'll help play a role in saving Equestria. So tell me, Lightning Dust, are you in? He asked, holding out a hoof. She took it and spoke.
Yeah. It sounds fun. I have 2 questions, though.
What's that?
First of all, what'll happen to that bitch who made the fake report? And what would you have done to me if I hadn't said yes to you after seeing this place and knowing what I know now?
Cloud Whisper was already demoted and sent to take over your old job at the academy. She was lucky she didn't get court-martialed for what she did. As for what we would have done if you'd said no, Manute would have taken your memories of this place from your head, and you would have been placed in a better position working with the MOA, and gotten what you wanted. That can still happen if you would like.
Nah, this sounds like a lot more fun, and it'll be a blast to work with you again. So, how about you show me my new digs, Captain?
She said, winking at him. Sounds good. Welcome to the Children of the Night. Good morning, Starshine. Yes, says hello, Stardust said as I awoke.
Call me that again, and you're the one that gets stabbed next.
Someone's cranky. Considering you almost got killed yourself, you should be thankful I'm being nice. Your tiny little ass scared the shit out of me. I'm speaking metaphorically, of course.
Ow. Asshole. This fucking hurts, you know. What happened and where's Aura? Last time I heard her is the last time I woke up.
She's resting. We've been taking turns watching you sleep. Not in the creepy I like to watch ponies sleep way, more like we've been waiting for you to wake up. After you passed out, Scribe Hazel took you back here to get you patched up. Little did she know your guts were just about to redecorate the ground. She ended up riding on Paladin Stock's back with you, holding in all your party favors and whatnot. When they got you back here, they started operating right away. They had to rejoin your damaged organs, and right as they were finishing that part, you woke up during surgery and flipped out. When you started flailing, you tore apart the organs they had just rejoined, and in the process of doing that,
you also tensed up so much that you tore yourself open even more. Aura grabbed the memory orb from your saddlebags and they were able to knock you out again. But the damage you did was horrible. You were split open from your sternum all the way down to your, well, you know. Anyway, they rejoined your organs again and did what they could for the torn tissue and muscle. And then they sutured everything and got you closed up. They also started you on an IV that's kind of like a healing potion. It's supposed to repair the damaged muscles and speed up the healing process of your organs. They said if you didn't wake up within 3 days that you probably wouldn't make it.
How many days has it been?
I asked weakly. 4. You replied nonchalantly.
4? You just said I was supposed to be dead if I didn't make it past 3. What?
Yeah, I know. They were going to take you off the IV and wait until you eventually kicked it, but I stopped them. If there's one thing I learned from you, it's that you don't give up on friends, he said proudly.
You didn't point a gun at any doctors, did you?
No. Well, maybe just a little.
You dumbass. Ow! Damn, that hurts.
I exclaimed in agony.
Quit freaking out.
It's cool. They completely understood after I fired a warning shot.
Oh, Celestia, you didn't,
I said in disbelief. Bet your ass I did. I ain't gonna let them give up on you. Doctors think they're so smart with their fancy lab coats and Setha ear listener thingies and odds of survival. All they really are ponies who found a dirty, torn-up lab coat and a few equestrian medical journals, and suddenly they're professional doctors with a degree in medicine and all that shit.
Stardust, they're real doctors. Otherwise, I'd be held together with duct tape and wonder glue. Now go wake up Aura and tell her I'm okay.
All right, fine. I'll go get her, he said arrogantly. I'll have her release the hostages, too.
Hostages?
Just kidding. Don't tie your horn in a knot. I'm not that stupid. She might be, though. A bird's brain is the size of a peanut, you know. So I've heard. I've actually seen a peanut. It might be smaller.
Just go,
I said, annoyed. Okay, I'm going, he said as he walked out of the room. For some reason, the room didn't really make me feel like I was in a clinic. It felt more like a prison cell. The concrete walls, mixed with the fluorescent lighting, made me feel a little like I was in one of those holding cells in my old stable. There were medical supplies everywhere. There was also an annoyingly beeping sound coming from one of the machines that happened to be hooked up to me. Great. More annoying sounds. I'll bet if I pull off those sticky things, it's gonna make every pony freak out. Guess I'll just put up with it, I said to myself. Painfully, I scooted myself up a little so I could get a better look at myself. My entire lower torso, abdomen, and waist was covered with bandages. I feel so stupid now. Couldn't I have slapped myself or something instead of stabbing myself with a spear? Great. Now I'm going to have a huge unattractive scar because of my own stupidity, I said to myself again. I let myself slide back down into the laying position and tried to relax a little. The pain in my body was like a chaotic soreness that persisted like a bad itch that you know you couldn't scratch. Suddenly, I heard the knock on the door. Knock, knock. Some pony spilled the beans that you're awake, the nurse stated, as to a kind of sing cheerily as she walked in. So, guess what time it is? It's time to change your bandages. She was a stark white unicorn with super curly pink hair, and with a sun, wearing a happy face as her cutie mark. What are you on? I want some, I asked, skeptical of her strange optimism. Oh, I'm not anything. I'm just happy you're not dead, she said in an annoyingly cheery voice as she started to unwrap the bandages. Huh. Could have fooled me, I said quietly to myself. She sat there and hummed the most annoying upbeat tune as she carefully unwrapped the bandages. As more and more of them were taken off, I could see the damage that had been done. So, What's your name, anyway? I asked cautiously.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I'm Nurse Joy, and I'm the attending nurse for you today.
She said, sounding overjoyed. Huh. Joy. Figures, I said to myself again.
What was that, silly filly?
She asked, closing her eyes and cocking her head. Oh, it's nothing. Just making sure I won't forget your name is all. Said it back to myself. You know how it is.
Okay, but if it really was something mean, I'll send in Nurse Patches instead. She's a big sourpuss and thinks she's better than everyone else. But I really shouldn't say things like that. If she knows I said that, it might hurt her feelings.
She replied. Ah, sweet Celestia. Make her hurry up. She's so Luna-damned happy! Wish she would just send in Nurse Patches. I mean, come on, who's that cheerful in the wasteland? It's just not possible. There's death and tragedy everywhere. How'd she stay so damned happy? I hope I'm actually still in the bunker and not somewhere in a functional mental hospital, because that would be a little extreme. Even if I did go all psychopathic killer during the fight.
Oh, goodness. Looks like you're healing up faster than expected. Your stitches are only 4 days old, and they look about 7 or 8 days old. Some wounds grow away fast, I guess. Sometimes it's just a little too fast.
She said, a little surprised. Grow away? I asked.
Oh, just a fun little thing I like to say sometimes. Isn't it just the cutest little saying?
Yeah, sure, cute. That's the word for it. Are you sure it looks good? I'm still pretty sore.
I bet you are. You almost tore your little self in half. Unfortunately, I can't give you any Med-X because you could lose consciousness again, and we wouldn't want that now, can we?
She said as she started to wrap the bandages around me. Oh my god, I wish Stardust would have warned me about her. She's a little intense. Come to think of it, if he did warn me, I probably wouldn't have believed him. Seriously, this nurse was unbelievably nice for a wastelander.
All done, she sang. Now, don't get too squirmy or you might pop a stitch.
Thanks for changing my bandages, Nurse Joy. I appreciate your kindness, I said, giving a small smile.
No need to thank me. I'm just doing what I love to do. Now I must be going. The ranger in the next room needs another dose of Radaway. And guess who's got an extra at her nurse's station?
She said as she walked out of the room and past Stardust and Aura as they walked in. Thanks for the warning, Stardust, I said sarcastically. Oh, I probably should have let you know. The nurse is a little too sweet for apple pie, he replied, returning to sarcasm. Very funny, Stardust. You know, I don't think she can possibly be mean or rude in any way. I think the universe would explode if she was. Yeah, she's a bit over the top. But at least she's not a total bitch like the other nurse. She threatened me with a scalpel just for asking for water, he said apologetically. Have you ever thought to yourself that you might just be an asshole? Aura snarked. As a matter of fact, yes, I have. And a polymatic vigor tester said otherwise. For the record, you didn't say please, Aura said, persisting the conversation. Personally, I think the only time any pony's heard you say please is when you're begging for your life. You know, like you're about to in 10 seconds if you don't shut your fucking beak. Stardust retorted angrily. Fuck you. I could have just left you in a ditch somewhere to die instead of doing what I did. Just because you have something against griffins doesn't mean we're all bad. Maybe it'd be a little nicer to you if you weren't such a dick. Could you both just shut up? I yelled, ending their argument. Sorry about that, Shadow. We still don't get along that well, as I'm sure you can see. Stardust apologized. I noticed. Anyway, moving on. What happened after the explosion? Was the town destroyed for sure? I heard a reporter from DJ Pony about it. Well, yes and no. The side of the mountain collapsed when the stable exploded and the debris landed in the town below. Some of the town is intact, but the whole area is full of radiation, so no one can actually resettle there unless they're a ghoul. Aura explained.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it sounds like that fiend boss Gator wasn't there when it happened. DJ Pony said so on the radio. He said something yesterday about him going to gather more fiends out west.
Stardust followed.
Great. So now I have the thought that he might kill me in my sleep running on my conscience.
I'm sure some pony will kill him eventually. The bastard has it coming,
Aura said, reassuring me of Gator's impending demise.
Hey guys,
I have another question.
are we still in the Steel Ranger bunker?
I don't remember them having doctors and nurses and stuff. Also, why isn't there a knight or something keeping an eye on you guys? Last time I checked, they still didn't trust Stardust with his weapons and, well, Aura's a griffin, so I think they'd be skeptical of her too.
Yeah, we're still in the bunker. You didn't meet the medical staff before because you were busy with Elder Appleslice. I, on the other hoof, apparently did. Apparently the medical staff sees you if you're Ranger Scribes. They've studied old medical textbooks and stuff very thoroughly. So much so that they feel comfortable enough to perform surgery and give other medical treatments. It's like I said earlier when I was mocking them for being fake doctors. As for the lack of surveillance, it's a little complicated. When Aura showed up here with me, all half dead, they were ready to shoot until she explained the situation. They didn't believe her story completely, so they put her into custody until you came back. They thought this since we were both winged creatures that we teamed up against you and killed you. Me getting hurt in the process. They thought her story was some sort of cover-up so we could stay here and recover. When she was in custody, I was being taken care of in their clinic here. When your broadcaster came through, and they found out you were attacked by the Enclave, that was hurting yours truly, they let me go and reluctantly returned my guns. I don't know why they let Aura go. Something about an emissary from the Red Talons coming over for a slumber party or something. Anyhow, they let her out in the bird cage anyway. And there's nothing we, or should I say I, can do about it.
Stardust explained.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
I replied slowly.
Excuse me,
Nurse Joy said delightfully from the doorway.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you to leave the room. Scribe Hazel says that Miss Shadowstar needs all the rest she can get if she wants to feel better.
Go ahead. I'll talk more with you guys later. A couple more days, and I was finally able to make it out of bed, and I was almost completely healed, to the amazement of Scribe Hazel. I decided to go and stretch my legs. I still felt a tiny bit sore, but barely noticed it compared to what it was like before. Walking out of the clinic, I saw 3 different signs. One read Mess Hall, the second said Shooting Range and Ammunition Supply, and the third read Elder's Command Room. Considering all the different flavors of medicine they made me take in the clinic, I chose to go to the mess hall to see about getting some ice-cold sparkle cola. The bunker sort of reminded me of my stable. The walls were gray, there was fluorescent lighting, and I was surrounded by technology. The technology was a little different, though. More magical weapon-type stuff instead of just the casual snack machine. I walked into the mess hall and was greeted by delicious and interesting smells. I walked up to an open counter and awaited for the pony behind me to notice as I was standing there instead of just staring off into space. Excuse me? I said, trying to get his attention. Instead of giving me the slightest attention, he still just stood there with the same dumb look on his face. I noticed that he was standing on a hoof mat. Here's what little magic I'd recovered to grasp the edge. With a mighty yank, I pulled the mat out from under his hooves. He stumbled and fell flat on his face. Then he looked up at me with a pained expression. How can I help you?
Coca-Cola, please? Iced cold?
Okay, well, I think we're out of that. Hey, did you see some pony standing next to me? I think they must have pushed me over or something.
Do you have anything else? And no, there wasn't anyone next to you.
Oh, okay. And you want anything else? You sure there was no pony next to me? We have, sunrise sarsaparilla and water?
Yeah, I'm sure. What's sunrise sarsaparilla?
Alright then. I must have lost my balance again. I guess mixing Med-X and Dash wasn't such a good idea. By the way, I didn't say that, so don't tell anyone I did. Okay then. Sunrise sarsaparilla is a carbonated drink like Coca-Cola, but it tastes different and stuff. Also, it doesn't have any residual radiation in it. Kinda tastes like vanilla, he explained.
I'd like one of those then. How much?
Like 3 caps. Or if you have it, you can pay me in chems.
Here. I can't bring myself to fuel a junkie's addiction, I said, giving him 3 caps and grabbing the bottle.
Have a good one,
he said, not realizing what I had just said to him.
I observed the outside of the bottle and noticed that the label had half of what looked like Princess Celestia's cutie mark on top of a barrel in the center with the words reading Sunrise Sarsaparilla. On the back, on top of the nutritional facts, there was a yellow stallion wearing a Desperado cowboy hat over his brown curly mane. Next to him were 3 words. And the phrase Sunrise Sarsaparilla. It's a super duper party pony certified. The overlooking, enthusiastic look on his face made me think of a certain ministry mayor. I popped off the cap and started to bask in its vanilla goodness. I inspected the cap a little and wondered if I could use it as currency like with the Sparkle Cola caps. It was then when I noticed a blue star on the underside of the cap. Huh. Weird. Whatever. Guess I'll just put up my other caps. When I'd finished with the sarsaparilla, I tossed the bottle into a wastebasket and I passed by, walking down the hall. It was then that I ran into Star Paladin Sapphire.
Ah, there you are, Shadow Star. I've been looking for you. Why aren't you still in bed?
I've been feeling a lot better and wanted something to drink, so I thought I'd head over to the mess hall and get something.
Why were you looking for me?
I asked, giving her a quizzical look.
Elder Appleslice would like to speak with you. I was sent to fetch you for her. Would you be able to come with me now, or do you still need some rest? If so, we can have the Elder meet you in your room.
I'll be fine, I'm feeling good. A little sore, but good.
Okay then. Follow me, please.
She turned and led me down the hall towards the Elder's office. When we arrived, she stopped at the door and turned back to me.
She's waiting for you inside. I'll be waiting out here for you.
You're not coming in?
Your presence was requested, and only yours. Don't worry though, I'll be right outside the door,
she said, giving me a smile. I smiled back, then walked into the office. I was shocked when I first walked in. Not only was Elder Appleslice sitting there at her desk, the griffin from the other day was standing next to her, both of them watching as I walked in. The door closed behind me, and the Elder said, "Good morning, Shadow Star. It's good to see you up. How are you feeling?" "A lot better than I did a couple days ago."
"Why did you need to see me, Elder? And why is he here?"
I asked, looking over at the griffin. "This is Apollo. He's the father of the griffin you killed during the attack and part of the Council of the Red Talons. I've asked him here to have this meeting with us today. Take a seat, please," she said, gesturing towards the chair in front of her desk. I did as she asked, feeling a bit confused at the situation. "What's going on?" Apollo cleared his throat, then spoke in his deep voice. "I've come here as a representative of the Talon Company, and as a father. First off, I want to let you know that I hold no ill will towards you for the death of my son. He died doing his job. That was all." I felt guilt building up as I spoke. "Thank you for that. But I'm sorry that I killed your son. I wasn't in my right mind at the time. I had no control over my actions." "I've seen that before. Fear takes over and you go into a panic. It was strange how your look changed. Same goes for your personality. But I'm not an expert on unicorns." Maybe that was the way your mind and body decided to protect you. That, however, isn't why I've come here today. I discussed all this with the Elder a couple days ago," he said, giving me a nod of his head.
The Elder spoke next.
"I've asked Apollo to come here to tell you this himself, and more information that you might find interesting."
I looked over at the Griffin. "What's that?"
"We received a contract from the Overmare Stable 28 about a week or so before you were reported to have left your stable. In the transmission, she wanted to set up a contact with us and hunt down a mare that left the stable a few years before. She wanted us to find her and bring her back to the stable, alive. At the time, we had no interest in the contract. There was little information and reason for us to risk our lives for our griffins."
"She must have wanted you to go after my mother. The Overmare was obsessed with finding her. She was looking for this pip buck for some reason. Probably thought my mother still had it." I spoke up. "But what does that have to do with your griffins hunting me down?"
"My thoughts exactly. And I was getting to that. You see, the Overmare wasn't happy with our denial to hunt her down, so she asked us to come into the stable to question you, the daughter of the mare she wanted. We also refused that, since we don't go into functioning stables. The day after that transmission, you left the stable. Not long after that, we got another transmission from the Overmare. This time, she put a bounty on you, telling us that you stole something precious and of great value to the stable. We took the contract this time because we find grand theft to be a high-class crime in the wasteland. Even more so for an active stable. The contract was sent to us saying that you were to be taken alive, and that we had to retrieve your pip buck. When we weren't able to get you right away, the contract was changed to just bringing back your pip buck. Your life no longer mattered."
"That bitch. Why aren't you trying to get it from me anymore?"
"That's easy. You see, we have a code in the Red Talons. We only accept a contract that is given truthfully. We don't judge the reason why we are needed for a mission, just as long as we know the story behind it, and that it is a true one, and if the pay is good. When Scribe Hazel told me after the battle that you didn't steal that pip buck, I wondered about it. So when I met with Elder Appleslice the other day, I asked her about Hazel's story," he said, looking over at the Elder.
She smiled and continued after him.
"I told him what you told me when you arrived. I also told him that I saw that pip buck before when your mother was still working with us, before she left for Stable 28.
"We've worked with the Steel Rangers in Sari for many years, and Elder Appleslice has never lied to us. We took her after her word, and broke the contract with your former Overmare. Since she lied to us about the reason she wanted it, I can no longer give her our business," he said, standing up straight.
I thought it over for a moment, thinking of how they'd come after me. For everything they said to me during my encounters with them, it matched up with the Griffin story. One thing, however, didn't make sense to me. The last 2 times I was attacked, they sent groups of 3 to attack me, also called a wing. 1 wing when we arrived at the bunker, and 2 wings the other day. Ora said she wanted to join them, and she attacked me the first time on her own. If she literally wanted to join them, why didn't she give them my location to help the first assault? So, I take it I don't have to be looking over my shoulder for more griffins to try and kill me? I asked, still not sure what to ask regarding Ora.
"Not from us, you don't. Unless you've given another reason to hunt you down, that is. If the contract comes from your Overmare, though, we'll refuse it. She's been proven untrustworthy."
I could have told you that, I said with a snicker. What bothers me, though, is how she was able to contact you. Apart from my mother, I don't see how a normal stable pony would know enough about the outside world to know who to contact to place a bounty on my head. To my surprise, Elder Appleslice answered. By your question, I take it you don't know the true history behind your stable, do you, Shadowstar? What do you mean? I know some things that Boxtape told me, but not much else. Until 10 years ago, your stable used to send out groups of ponies to trade with the neighboring towns, and took odd jobs now and then. They always kept the location of Stable 28 a secret, but the stable wasn't sealed since the war, like you thought. The former Overmare was quite friendly with the Wastelands. I am sure your Overmare had ways of contacting outsiders if she needed. How do you think your mother got into the stable in the first place? I always thought the former Overmare just kind of let her in because of me being hurt. Was it possible that more had been going on 10 years ago when we first arrived at the stable? You won't know all the reasons why your stable was locked down unless we find your mother, the elder said, sounding a bit disappointed for some reason. Like finding my mother was something she didn't look forward to me doing. I was about to ask more when the door opened and Aura walked in.
Listen, Elder Apple Slice. I wanted to talk to you before your meeting with...
She froze when she saw me in the room with Apollo and the elder. Her eyes narrowed and she said in a harsh voice,
You.
He looked shocked and confused.
Aura, how did you get in here?
She looked angrily at the elder and shouted,
I asked you to not let him in here.
Aura, I didn't tell him you were. I was going to speak with you later about this, the elder said calmly. But since you're here, why don't you take a seat and we can talk all this out? She glared at Apollo, then the elder, and then at me.
I have nothing to say to him. Shadow, when you're done, I'll be in your room. We need to start planning on what we're going to do when we leave.
She turned around in anger to leave, but Apollo jumped after her, saying,
Aura, please wait. Give me a moment, I beg you.
She twisted around, bringing her talons up and pointed one sharp claw right in his face.
I've got nothing to say to you. When I was banished, you did nothing to help me. I tried to prove that I was worthy of being a member, and still you did nothing. Don't come to me now begging for forgiveness. You won't find it from me.
She asked and stormed out in a huff. What was that all about? How do you know Aura? I asked, feeling confused. He sighed.
Aura was once a member of the Red Talon Company. She was a gifted fighter and thought that one day to be a member of the Council. However, she broke an old law of ours and was banished from the Red Talons. She could never return to us unless she proved she'd atoned for her sins.
Let me guess. You were the one who banished her? I said, giving him my own hard glare.
No, but I might as well have been. I could have spoken up in her defense and kept her from getting thrown out, but I stayed quiet. She sees it as an act of betrayal on my part. She refused to speak to me, even after so much time has gone by, he said, looking back at me with a sad expression. What happened to get her kicked out? I asked, wanting to know more about my friend. If she hasn't told you, then I can't betray her more than I already have. I'm sure she'll tell you. Do me a favor, will you? Keep an eye on her. Try and see past the hard exterior. She's a good griffin, and can be a good friend. Just never lie to her, or hide the truth in any way. Be there for her when she needs you, and be her friend. She's been alone for a long time, and she shouldn't be, he said, turning away again.
I will.
Good.
He looked back at the elder and spoke again.
Elder Appleslice, we'll speak again. Thank you for letting me say my piece. I must be getting back home to report to the rest of the group. As always, the Red Talon Company is at your disposal if you need us.
It was nice to see you again, Apollo. And make sure to tell Gigi I said hello. Also, on the other matter regarding Cartwheel.
I'll be sure to get the message to them about what's going on before I return. Stay safe, Elder.
Ad Victoriam, Apollo, she said back. As for you, Shadow Star,
if you have time, please do come visit us at Crimson Canyon. I'd love to show you around and have you meet with the other leaders of the group.
Why's that, Apollo? I asked, still lost in what had just happened a few moments ago.
I'll let you find out when you arrive. Don't worry, though. You'll enjoy your stay, I'm sure. Ah, and before you forget, I have a job for you. Need something delivered to New Pegasus. Elder Appleslice has everything including payment. It'll be given, the receipt, to Box Tape, when I get to Cartwheel. Then, without another word, he walked out the door.
What just happened? I asked, looking back at the Elder. Apollo is one of the 3 leaders of the Red Talons, and the most trusted in his group, with our branch of the Steel Rangers. When you got back and I heard the story about the attack and the aftermath, he came to apologize to us for his actions and to repay us for the understanding. As for Aura and him, you'll have to get that from her, like Apollo said. It's her past to talk about, not ours. I hate not knowing what's going on. Speaking of which, why didn't you tell me there were blood wings in that stable? I said angrily. Do you know the shit I had to deal with just to get the damn pip buck for you? Shadowstar? I had no idea what was in that stable apart from the pip buck. The ponies I got the information from said that every pony was dead in there, she said in a serious tone. She lightened up a little as she continued. You did great, though. More than I would have expected. I wish the price you had to pay just to get one piece of tech didn't have to be paid, but it was, and you're alive. If you would have sent in at least one of your Steel Rangers to help, things would have gone a lot better for us in there. I slid, slamming a hoof down on the ground. Is everything that happened? I'm not even sure I'm sane anymore. I've been hearing things in my head ever since I left that goddess-forsaken place. I know that. I wish I had. I thought with you flying in like you did, you would have had it easier. Well, it wasn't. I know. I can't say I'm sorry more than I already have. Things like that happen in the Wasteland. Things never go the way you think it should. The Wasteland finds a way to screw with you every time. Still, from everything I've heard in the reports, I have a feeling that you aren't going crazy. If anything, I just think that what happened you during your fight and before was the effects of massive radiation exposure. The doctors are still baffled that you didn't die from how much you were exposed to. I remember Scribe Hazel saying something like that to me the other day, when I was still stuck in bed. Hazel did say something about that too. Still, done over with. I take it you already retrieved the pip buck from my saddlebags, so I fulfilled my end of the bargain. It's your time to pay up. She gave me one of her odd smiles. I agree. From what I learned when Grimoire left, she went to New Pegasus in search of a pony named Lonely Hearts. He's some kind of private investigator there. I don't know how long she stayed in the city, but I know she met with him. From there, I've only heard scattered stories of her being seen with the NLR and even the Enclave. But I've never got any proof. Your best bet to find her is to find Lonely Hearts in New Pegasus and talk to him. If she was seen afterwards with the NLR or the Enclave, why shouldn't I try them instead? It seems to have gotten me closer to her than going to New Pegasus. First, I couldn't see your mother ever working with NLR. They're no friends of the Steel Rangers, and they wouldn't trust her as an ex-member of ours. If she's with the Enclave, well, you've seen what they're like. If she's with them, you'd be better off forgetting about ever finding her. Lonely Hearts was the last known pony to see her that I know of. He can at least get you what you need. What is the NLR and New Pegasus? I asked, deciding not to argue over it. If I'd go after her, if the Enclave had her, I would, but I didn't need another lecture from the Elder. They're the new Lunar Republic. They're a group that started around San Francisco. They believe themselves to be the ones that will bring a new government in the vision of Princess Luna. We've had conflicts with them over the years. As for New Pegasus, it's just the ruins of Lost Pegasus. It was given the name New Pegasus after some ponies started running some casinos on the Strip. There's also something mysterious about a pony who lives in one of the casinos that runs everything. I see. Well, if what I learn leads me to the NLR, I'll be sure to leave the Steel Rangers out of my dealings with them. I would appreciate that. As for where you'll be going, you can find Lonely Hearts somewhere in New Pegasus. If he's not there, you may find him wandering around the place just south of the Strip called Freedom Town. That part of New Pegasus is dangerous. Be sure to keep your guard up when traveling there. I will. And thank you for giving me the information.
No, Shadow Star.
Thank you for getting me that pip buck. I only made sure you got your payment for it. Oh, and another thing I meant to say before.
What's that?
And that creature you let out of the stable. I've heard reports already that's been attacking raiders and is heading north. How dangerous is it?
Why do you need to know?
I replied, giving her a blank look. Because if it's heading up north, and is a danger to the other Steel Ranger branches, I need to warn them. I sighed. She's a friend, and a pony who just had bad things happen to her. She is dangerous, yes, but only of those trying to kill her. If the Rangers leave her alone, then nothing bad will happen. I swear on my life. Thank you. I'll be sure to notify the other elders and make sure they keep their distance. But if what you say turns out to be false, then she will be killed.
I wouldn't lie about that to you, Elder. She won't be a problem for the Rangers.
Good. And one last thing. Afterwards, you can be on your way. I'm sure your friends are looking for you, she said, tapping a hoof on her desk. I'd like to make you a member of the Steel Rangers. I'll still let you search for your mother, but once that's done, I'd like you to return here and become one of us. You'd be a great addition. I'll even give you a promotion right away, as a knight. The offer was tempting, I had to admit. Being a member of the Steel Rangers would give me protection when they needed it, and maybe even a purpose in life once I'd found what I needed to. I looked back at her. What about my friends? If I joined, would you let them join too, right? Sadly, I'd be thrown out if I let a Pegasus like your friend join, and no Griffin has ever been a member. This offer is for you, and you alone, she said with a bit of disappointment. Then, at least for now, I can't accept your offer. I can't just give my loyalty to one faction right now. Not when I don't know enough about the Wasteland. Maybe one day I'll change my mind, but for now, no. Do appreciate the offer, though. I had a feeling you'd say something like that. But the offer will still be here if you ever change your mind. If you run into any more Steel Rangers in the future, just tell them you're a friend of mine and they'll help you. Now, get going, Shadow Star, and stay safe. Ad Victorium, she said, saluting with a hoof to her chest. You too. And thank you, I said, walking out of the room. I walked out of the Elder's room and down the hall, into my group's room to see Stardust passed out on his bed, while Aura was drawing something on his face with a permanent marker. Hey, Aura. What ya doing?
Drawing a dick on his face.
Why?
That bastard took my Sparkle Cola, and it sprayed all over me when I opened it. So I'm getting payback,
she said mischievously. Sounds like he deserved it. Let's wait to tell him about it until after we leave.
When is that, by the way? This place is boring, and I don't like how some of the ponies look at me.
I was planning on asking her what happened to the Red Talons, but I think that conversation would be best handled on another day. Plus, she probably won't talk about it right now, considering she just saw Apollo. Actually, we're leaving pretty soon. We're going to New Pegasus. The Elder gave me a lead on my mother, and we have business there.
Cool. Just let me finish my masterpiece before you wake him,
she replied. All right. Just don't take too long.
It's not like it's that complicated to draw something like this on some pony's face. It's basically done anyway. I was just gonna add a few veins for detail. Maybe ponies will think it's a tattoo.
I couldn't help but laugh. I quickly covered my muzzle with my hooves so I wouldn't wake Stardust from his peaceful slumber. I uncovered my muzzle and giggled. I wouldn't know. I'm not the artist, you are.
Maybe not. But at least you can bask in the glory of the dick-faced sniper. You can wake him up now if you want,
Aura said with a giggly snort. I walked over to Stardust, who was snoring very loudly. I took my forehooves and squeezed his nostrils shut, making him jerk awake to breathe. What the fuck, Griffin? I told you to leave. Oh. Hi, Shadow. Sorry, I thought you was messing with me again. What's so funny? Oh, nothing. It's just the way you jerked awake looked hilarious, that's all. I said, trying not to continue laughing. We gathered our things and started to make our way out of the bunker, while every pony was giving Stardust funny looks and snickering. What is every pony laughing at? Did I grow a horn out of my head or something? Both Aura and I stopped in our tracks and fell to the floor laughing as hard as we could. Stardust stopped and looked back at us with a puzzled look on his face, but suddenly checked his head with a hoof. Once we finished laughing and wiping the tears out of our eyes, we kept walking on our way out, stopping for extra ammo, food, and medical supplies on the way. I made sure to get old Festus. I wouldn't leave without my trusty repeater again if I could help it. When we went to every single place to get supplies, a clerk behind the counter looked intensely like they were trying not to laugh, confusing Stardust even more. After getting what we needed, and we were walking to the exit, and Stardust was still trying to figure out what was so funny about himself. You know, they could be laughing at your masculine pink eyes, I said, kind of giggling at the situation. Either I need sunglasses or you guys are lying to me. Plus, I saw other stallions here with pink eyes, and no one laughs at them. Yeah? Well, they also wear big, scary suits that could probably kill or at least maim anyone who laughs at them, I said, trying to get him not to think too hard about it. Not all of the Steel Rangers wear power armor, so I doubt that, he said, sounding irritated. They could be laughing at how small your wings are compared to mine, Aura added. They're not that different in comparison, so I doubt that too. I need to find a mirror. No, you don't. I promise you look fine, I said, so he wouldn't go look at himself. Somehow I don't believe you, he said, getting more irritated. Come on, have I ever steered you wrong? We were finally at the exit. The entrance guard was making sure we weren't taking out something that didn't belong to us. When it happened. Ah! Why? Stardust exclaimed. What? Aura and I asked in unison as Stardust covered a certain portion of his face. I saw it in my reflection in this guy's visor! Who did it? He exclaimed as he frantically rubbed the spot with his hooves. Did what? I asked. Oh, come on! Who drew a cock on my face? He yelled again. It is a work of art if I do say so myself. Don't rub it like that. You'll just get something else on your face, Aura said, sounding pleased with herself. It's not funny. How am I supposed to get this off? Shadow, you can magic this off my face, right? I don't know any spells like that, so you're on your own for this one, I replied. Here, take this bandana. Use it to cover your face till it wears away, Sapphire said, handing him a bandana with a logo on it. She just caught up with us as we were leaving. What's that on the bandana? I asked. It's the Steel Ranger emblem, she replied proudly, pointing at the 3 gears with apples, a sword pointing upward flanked by a set of wings. Thanks. I suppose I should wear this side in so no one looks at me and thinks the Steel Rangers are working with Pegasi, Stardust said sheepishly. Nonsense. Wear it however you see fit. As far as the Steel Rangers are concerned, you 3 are our allies, and we don't care who knows it, the steel-covered pony said, then turned towards me. I have the details on the package that Apollo needs delivered. The Elder wanted me to make sure that you got it before you left. She passed me the package along with a few files, wrapped up in paper. I took it and looked back at her. Where's it going? Apollo said he needed it delivered to First Lieutenant Blazer. He's at the NLR embassy in New Pegasus, on the north end of the strip. She handed me a bag filled with caps. He also said this is the payment for the job. It's around 1,500 caps. I looked at the bag in awe. Why so much? It's a high priority delivery. He said he would only trust it in the hooves of the Equestrian Express. Now, you should all be heading out. Ad Victoriam. Same to you, Sapphire. Thanks for your help. She nodded, then walked back into the bunker. Stardust put the bandana around his head over the artistic drawing left by Aura. We were a few miles from the bunker, and the bright gloominess was turning into darkness, as I heard thunder in the distance. It started to rain. I wondered to myself if we were being watched by the Enclave somehow. I think that feeling is going to fester in the back of my head until they're taken care of. This rain sucks. Why is it always raining? Now that you mention it, it's kind of weird considering the fact this area used to be a desert. It doesn't rain much in the desert, Stardust pointed out, also puzzled by the recent bouts of rain.
You two think too much about things. It's simple. Before the war, Pegasi, like dumbass here, controlled the weather. If they controlled the weather, they controlled where it rained. It was probably a way for them to control the equestrian economy.
Aura said, sounding like she was trying to get us to shut up. How could they control the economy with rain? I asked quizzically.
Come on. You can't be that ignorant. If ponies have a limited water source, they'll have to pay the government or a government-funded water supply company to supply them with more water. When the ponies get the water they need out here in the desert, and the government gets the money that they want.
Aura explained. That sounds kind of fucked up. Why would someone build a town in the desert in the first place? I don't know, but it worked out pretty well for New Pegasus. All the hotels, resorts, and casinos were raking in hundreds of thousands of bits back in the day. Or so I'm told. Stardust added.
Yep. Now the Strip pretty much robs anyone or Griffin that gets in there with their rigged games.
Aura said, sounding aggravated, like she'd fallen victim to rigged games in the past. Rigged? When you're in a place like New Pegasus, you should expect a lot of their games to be rigged. The owners of the casinos and whatnot do stuff like that so they can get more caps out of the ponies who play them. Of course, they have to let someone win sometimes to keep ponies coming back. Stardust explained. So it's all just one big scam? Yep, pretty much, they said in unison. What do either of you guys know about the NLR?
The NLR. They're this militarized group that thinks they can restore law and order to the wasteland like some sort of saviors. That's pretty much all I know about them. But you could probably talk to a ranger about it in New Pegasus. I heard they're occupying a part of the Strip. A few settlements around it, too.
Aura explained nonchalantly. Ranger? I already asked the Steel Rangers about the NLR. They just gave me about as much information as you did. No, what she means is an LNLR Ranger. They're higher-ranking ponies in the NLR. They're also said not to be taken lightly in a fight, especially the veteran Rangers. Some ponies say that they're so tough they chew nails and spit napalm. Stardust explained in minor detail. Chew nails? Spit napalm? I highly doubt that, I said, shaking my head. Suit yourself, but don't blame me if you get in a scuffle with one of them and get dead, Stardust said while poking me in the shoulder with his wing. Don't. It feels weird, I whined. Weird, huh? He said mischievously while he continued to poke me. He was starting to piss me off like he always did. Stop, or I'll rip it off. See, now there's something I doubt. Pegasus wings are incredibly resilient. They're pretty damn hard to damage unless you do something like high-caliber bullet or an extremely sharp knife or sword, he said with a frown. What about Aura's energy spear? I asked with a crooked smile.
Yeah, I'd like to know that too,
Aura asked curiously. Like I'd tell you that. Plus, it's almost like telling my weakness to the enemy with Lieutenant Beaky listening. I couldn't help but giggle a little as Aura glared at me with the intent of murder in her eyes.
Keep laughing. I dare you, Shrimpy.
Hey! I'm almost normal-sized. My growth is just delayed. I snapped back.
Not so funny now, is it?
She snapped back.
Now, come on, ladies. Don't start a catfight. Some offense to the Griffin,
Stardust said nonchalantly.
Shut up!
Aura and I both yelled in unison.
Fine. I won't stop you. But I got caps on you in this one, Shadow. You're easier to travel with. Ugh. We can't argue like this. It makes us vulnerable to an attack,
Aura said forcefully.
I agree with the Griffin.
We don't know who could be watching us right now, ready to attack. Stardust agreed. We kept walking through the day as the rain faded away. The dry, cracked, possibly radioactive sand crunching under our hooves and, paws, talons. I don't really know what to call the extremities that Aura walks with. I really need to ask her about that one day. After a while, I finally saw a hollow arrow marking the bottoms of my AFS compass. I just hoped the upcoming towns or settlements weren't raider camps or radioactive ditches. As we got close to one of them, I saw something sticking out of the ground in the distance. It looked like a, refrigerator. Why is there a fridge in the middle of the wasteland? When I got up close and personal with it, I got the notification on my pip-buck. You have discovered Daring Do's refrigerator shelter. Seriously? What the fuck? Refrigerator shelter? That doesn't make sense. Why would someone take shelter in a fridge? It's so small. I asked, confused.
Have you read any of Daring Do's books?
Stardust asked. Books? The only books I've read are textbooks in school and my stable. I didn't really read many books except for those, and the Wasteland Survival Guide. Really? I used to love those books when I was a colt. Read every one of them. This refrigerator thing reminds me of Daring Do in the Zebra Temple, when she's trying to take refuge from a megaspell blast that the zebras use to destroy the temple because they think she's still inside and they want to destroy any evidence left behind in the temple. Little did they know that Daring Do got out of her bindings and closed herself into a refrigerator that was lined with lead to survive the blast. The explosion threw the refrigerator a long way, and when it landed, Daring Do heroically came out and escaped the zebras. Stardust explained excitedly. Why would there be a refrigerator in an old zebra temple, and since when do they have temples? Plus, wouldn't the refrigerator be vaporized in the blast?
Yeah, it seems a little far-fetched to me,
Aura asked in disbelief. Well, you see, the zebras that were there set up campsites around the temple, and they needed a place to put their Spelka-Cola, obviously. Plus, how would you know if they had temples or not? Zebras can build whatever they want in their own country, Stardust explained, trying to prove his point. Wow. Egghead much? I said, getting bored of the conversation.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were such a fucking nerd,
Aura added again, also sounding bored of the subject. I am not an egghead or a nerd. I just like AK yearling stories is all, he said defensively. Whatever. Let's just keep moving. I don't want to keep obsessing over a machine, I said, ending the conversation. Fine. Let's go. Stardust pouted. When we came to the second marker, I was surprised to see that it was a destroyed caravan cart, and a dead, mutated cow thing. You have discovered Sacked Scarlet Caravan Company caravan. Too bad. Probably didn't suspect a thing, Stardust said with melancholy in his voice. We kept walking, and I asked, something you've seen before? By the look on his face, I could already see the answer was yes. I've seen stuff like this many times. Sometimes the raiders, fiends, or whatever the vile thieves call themselves, are still looting the cart when I find them. When I see them do it, I get angry. I think to myself, what would have happened if I flew over maybe 5 minutes earlier? There have been times where I've actually found one that's still being attacked, and all I can do is hope that no innocent ponies get shot, he said, hanging his head.
Unfortunately, that's just how the wasteland works. Ponies die, griffins die, hideous monsters die, etc. It's not like you can change that.
Aura said, apparently not feeling any remorse for anyone. You really are heartless, aren't you? If I didn't fly over when Shadow had that big raider on top of her about to kill her, she would have been a head on a spike at that raider camp. Stardust snapped. Aura hung her head and looked away from him.
I'm not heartless. I'm just a realist,
I heard her say to herself softly. They both kept quiet as we went on towards the last marker on my EFS, and I thought I could see something in the distance, but I couldn't make it out. It just looked like a huge gathering of dead trees. As I was trying to get a better look, I tripped over a small wooden sign that read, Whitetail Woods National Park Trail. I feel like I've heard about that place before. It was a pre-war nature reserve. I read in one of my history books in school that ponies would go there with their families and take pictures next to the landmarks and leafy green trees and bushes. Now that I got closer, I could see that it was just as desolate as the rest of the wasteland, with an eerie green mist blanketing it like fog. Almost like Green Mist Valley when I left the stable. Only 20 times worse. The notification pinged on my pip-buck that I discovered Whitetail Wood National Park, and I took out my pistol as I saw a crude sign that said, Danger, Cazadors ahead. What's a Cazador?
One dangerous motherfucker. We should tread lightly,
Stardust said, eyeing every part of our surroundings as we kept clear of the park and the eerie green mist forest on the other side of the plains that sat on the edge of the desert. Can't one of you pick me up and we can fly over?
Unfortunately, no. More dangerous to fly over on the account of whoever's holding you gets struck by one of those things. You go splat,
he said, cocking the bolt on his new rifle.
Great. I'll call ahead to Death and let him know that we're stopping by.
Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Silver Tongue. You gain a 15% chance to persuade some pony during a conversation. Quest perk added. Shadow's Edge rank 1. Get in touch with your dark side. Due to your recent connection with your other half, you now gain +2 to overall damage resistance.